Hello, I'm Robin. Welcome to Bookspin. The Cordwainer Smith story I'd like to discuss today is called Nancy, although it's originally published under the title The Nancy Routine in Satellite Science Fiction, March 1959. It's a pretty short story. There's not a whole lot going on in terms of plot, but it does have a very interesting idea at its heart. This is a tale on the theme of loneliness in space, and how an imaginary companion can act as the ultimate coping mechanism for extreme isolation. So we've got this character called Lieutenant Gordon Green, and prior to being sent on an epic deep space mission, he gets implanted with a mysterious device called the Sukta virus. This is a piece of technology that, when activated, it allows the user to induce a hallucination. And this takes the form of an imaginary companion. And this is meant as a cure for extreme loneliness. But it's only to be used as a last resort. And so before Green sets off on his voyage, he gets this rather strange briefing from two space veterans who have gone on similar epic journeys in the past, and one of whom did use the Sukta virus, while the other didn't. And between them, they warn Green what to expect, but in kind of cryptic and contradictory ways, so it's not altogether clear whether using the Sukta virus is a good thing or not, or if it's something they would recommend or not. So off Green goes on his voyage. He's part of a two-man crew. They go into the depths of space, many thousands of miles from Earth. Inevitably, his co-pilot dies, and so he gets put to the test. Turns out he can't cope with the isolation so far from Earth, and very quickly he begins to lose his grip on reality. And so he decides to trigger the Sukta virus. And then a woman called Nancy appears, and she is the hallucination. She is a psychological construct created by the Sukta virus from Green's own subconscious. And while she isn't real, for Green, she provides genuine companionship and warmth and purpose, even love. She is the ultimate mental survival mechanism, and she gives Green the confidence and strength to carry on and return to Earth unharmed. And so basically Nancy ends up saving his life and his sanity even, which is a little bit paradoxical, I know, because she now exists as a permanent hallucination inside his head, because once you've activated the virus, it stays with you for life. And another thing that the story kind of suggests is that activating the virus comes with a cost. It consumes a huge amount of creativity and mental energy to sustain the hallucination. And so for Green, this basically leaves him only capable of carrying out what is described as the minimum for survival, thus, to some extent at least, derailing the mission. And although we never really learn what the actual nature of the mission is, all we know is he comes out unharmed, but he hasn't really fulfilled his duty in the best way possible because he used the Sukta virus. So there's a little bit of mystery there. And this does explain why there is a military taboo and ambivalence around the use of this technology. and why it's considered to be used only as a last resort for survival. But as far as Green is concerned, Nancy is the best thing to have ever happened to him. He knows she's not real, but he doesn't care. It's like she gives him a permanent sense of well-being. Even long after the mission is over and he's returned to Earth, she's always there with him inside his head. So she's kind of like a very powerful drug in that sense. And that's basically it. It's quite a simple concept, but it's thought-provoking, I think. And the story is kind of fable-like in a way. I don't think it's one of Smith's deepest or most compelling stories, but I do think the whole imaginary companion concept is interesting, and it does raise some intriguing ethical and philosophical questions. And it reminded me a little bit of similar plot devices that I've come across in other works. For example, Stanislav Lem's Solaris, in which the main character's lover is resurrected as a phantom from his memories by the planet Solaris. Very interesting idea, I think. The other one was in The Dark Forest by Liu Cixin, Luoji's imaginary girlfriend, which was quite a big subplot in that novel, and a little bit controversial because a lot of people really hated that part of the book. But I do think, as a trope, this whole, imaginary companion psychological construct thing can be quite compelling and thought-provoking when it's done right. In this particular story, it is intriguing and it does work well as a concept, but it's a very short story. It's too short to be explored in much depth. I also would have liked to have known more about the nature of Green's mission and how exactly using the Socta virus is supposed to have compromised the mission itself, because it's never really explained. It's only hinted at in this story. All in all, though, Nancy is an interesting little thought experiment of a story, and it's worth the read.